Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Dev with Excel. All right, so on our full stack open exercises, today we are going to be solving exercise 1.8, and it says refactor your application so that displaying the statistics is extracted into its own statistics component. The state of the application should remain in the app roots component. Remember that components should not be defined inside the other component. So here we are expected that all the statistics we write previously, the add, the positive feedback, percentage, the and the likes, right? Everything should move into a new component called statistics, and we should use props to handle that. So we are going to be doing that in this video. All right, so let's go to our code implementation on VS Code. Let's show this also. As you can see, I've created a new folder that contains a setup for this exercise, and I called it step 3. So step 3 currently is the implementation of the step 2. So right now we are going to be updating this to have the code implementation for step 3, right? So I will simply cd into step 3 and do npm run dev. So let's be very sure that our code runs properly here. And when that happens, we minimize this and this also. All right, so let's give good a value of 6. Let's give neutral a value of 2 and bad a value of 1. All right, so this is what we had in our previous code implementation. So what do we do now? We are expected to have everything here in its own components. That means coming up here, we say const statistics because we want to give it a name called statistics. Now this is the app components we are actually, sorry, this is the statistics components that we are working on right now. So we do this, and then this is going to be returning all the values we have from good down to this positive here. So what do? We use the return keyword with the brackets, and then using a div, we write a div, and then we come down here, we copy everything we have here, we cut it rather, and we paste them here. So let's save our code. Here is what we have here. This is not expected to work yet, just yet. So the next thing we need to do is we need to give it a property called props, which contains the good, the neutral, and the bad, right? So we could just come here, use the structure all at once. We say good, neutral, bad. After doing this, we need to come here and use the components. So we call it statistics. Let's save this and see if our code is well written. So let's do this. Nothing happens yet. That's because we've not given this component its necessary values, right? So we have 3 properties for our statistics component. Then we come here and say good, which is the first property here, we assign it to the value of good. And where can we get good? We can get good as a state here, which is a value. It initially having a value of 0. So we say good. Let's run this. Let's save this and see if that works. Okay, so for good now we have 7. Good is active now. Then let's do the same thing for neutral and bad. Then we say neutral is equal to neutral. Then bad is equal to bad. Let's save this. Let's refresh this. Let's give good a value of 6, bad neutral a value of 2, and bad a value of 1. So we can see that our code still works very, very fine. So this is the instruction we have for exercise 1.8. Let me take it back to be sure. Exercise 1.8, yes. So if you can see where we're here, we are expected to use props and not destructuring. But in our own case, we destructured right away. So you can choose to destructure if you want to destructure, and then you can just choose to use props. Let's try to destructure and see if that's going to work for us. Let's remove this and then let's just say props. So using props here, that means we are not destructuring. That means that here we simply come here and say, we simply come here and say props dot good. I'm not sure this is going to work. Before we do that, let's come here and say props dot good. Let's copy this props dots. Let's paste it here. Props dot neutral, props dot bad, props dot good, props dot neutral, props dot bad, and we do for the rest of them. Then we copy this and then paste it here. Let's save this code and see if our code works fine. Okay. So we can see that our code works exactly as expected, right? So this means that we've been able to properly solve exercise 1.8. Similarly, we can choose to give feedback here its own component as well. So how can we do that? Let's create a component for give feedback. So we can just come here and say const, let's call it header is equal to this, and then we return, and then we come here to cut everything we have here. Let's cut it and paste it inside this return statement. Let's save this. Nothing happens yet because we are supposed to use this header component. So we come here and put it here. So let's save this and see. Now we have the give feedback here as a component. So we can also do the same thing for statistics. So let's do the same thing for statistics. We are going to be calling that content. So let's come here, let's copy this. Let's call header here. Let's change this header to content. And the value we have here should be statistics. That means we are simply going to cut this out and paste it here. Then we copy content as a component and we place it here. So let's save, and we can see that we have our code running as expected. All right, so we can also still create components for button, but we are not going to be doing that in this video. I think for now, let's just leave it as it is. So with this, we've been able to solve exercise 1.8. Let's go back to be very sure. It says refactor your application so that displaying the statistics is extracted into its own statistics component. So our concern for this exercise is just to create this statistics component and not even doing this. So with this, we've come to the end of the code implementation for exercise 1.8. See you in the next video. Bye.